felt like you're working harder than ever, but your sales just aren't moving? My God, it's so frustrating when you're putting hours and hours and hours in. And I think the most frustrating thing about this is that when you have time off because you're feeling stressed, you're feeling like emotionally heightened because your business just isn't really moving, you feel guilty because you're taking time off when you should be working on this thing that isn't really doing what you want it to do. And it's incredibly frustrating. It's incredibly angering. It's incredibly saddening when you're like, I don't know what else to do. I'm at a loss. And either your sales might have been good before, but they've suddenly dropped off, which is a story that I do hear more than anything else. Or it could be that you started a business, but it's never really quite gotten off the ground the way you thought it would. It's not bad luck though. Okay, that is the good news. There are things that you can do. Okay, and I'm going to be walking you through almost like the framework that I do whenever people like message me and say, hey, like I've got this business that does this and this and this. I started it here and here and here. I do this and this. Sales are slow. Sales are this. These are always the things that I ask first. Okay, so I want to walk that through with you today because I feel like it would be valuable just to coach yourself if you ever feel like giving up, if you ever feel like saying, you know what, I just can't do this anymore. I can't put the same hours in. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And I think one thing to remember here, and this is like the factual thing, is that we weren't taught in school how to run a business. We were never taught. I certainly wasn't. I think the only useful thing I was taught in school was how to be creative, but also how to, like, I don't know, write a check, how to, you know, do all these things. And it's funny how a lot of the things that we struggle with in adulthood are things that were major knowledge gaps in school. I mean, that's a whole other kettle of fish, but it just seems to me that we are getting frustrated with ourselves in things that we don't know how to do. That to me boggles my mind because it's not your fault, you know? What I want to go through is these three things that really is this hidden plateau that every handmade business, every business, to be honest with you, hits. So today, I'm basically going to walk you through how to spot it and how to start breaking through. So the plateau that I'm going to talk about here, and I've got some notes here, so if you see me looking down, if you're watching the video version of this, that will be why. Please don't think I'm like checking my phone. I'm filming this on my phone, so I can't check my phone. So ADHD brain is not engaging with my phone today. So like I said, this whole plateau thing, it sneaks up on you. And this is the most frustrating thing, is that you're trotting along nicely. Maybe 1 week it's a little bit down. You're like, okay, fine. The next week it goes up again. And then the week after that, it's like a little bit more down, and a little bit more down, and a little bit more down. Before you know it, it's 6 months to a year later, and you're like, dude, seriously, like, what's going on? And then you try to fix it. It doesn't fix it. It makes it worse, or maybe it gets better for a little bit of time, and then it just goes back down again. And I completely feel you there. So basically, all this to say, at first you see growth, and then things stall, and then you panic. You go, oh my God, and you start doing more. Because you think, right, I need to work harder because that's the only way this is going to work. If I work harder, which by the way, it's not true. It's work smarter, not harder. But I know how our brains work, and we just think I need to work harder. So you start doing like new products, daily posting, ads even, but nothing shifts, nothing changes. And like, what I just want to really validate for you guys is that this is not a you problem. This is not anything as a personal reflection on you. You are not broken. You are not lazy. There's no problem with you. You're just stuck in the plateau of doing busy work, or plateau. I don't know what it is. Plateau. You know what I mean. So here's the three things. I'm going to do it as like signs. Okay. So if you hear a sign that you resonate with, I know, take a screenshot of the timestamp, go back, listen to it, take notes, do whatever you need to do. But please don't just listen to this in the car or on your walk or wherever and just kind of go, yeah, and then just like forget about it by the end of the day, because that's not why I do these episodes. I do them because this is exactly how I would conduct a coaching call. And I want that information for you guys for free out there so that you can actually start making some changes, because nothing saddens me more then a post in the group that's like, I'm just giving up. I can't do it anymore. And I'm like, oh my God, if only I could just like have a cup of tea with you and just talk about it. I know that I could help you. So here it is. So sign number 1 is you're busy, but you're not growing. All right. So this looks like an endless to-do list, posting, packaging, tweaking. Maybe you're like rebranding for the second or third time. Maybe you're tweaking your descriptions again. Maybe you're like, you know what? I think it's my logo. I think that's the thing turning people off. Or maybe I should sell these products instead of these products. Maybe like my old products, people don't really want anymore. So I'm going to try this new thing. But despite this endless tweaking, you look at your sales chart or your sales projections or whatever, and it's just flat. It's just not really, there's no spikes. There's very little movement. It's just like meh. So an example here is that I worked with a lady who sold soaps, and she was posting daily on Instagram, which is a big thing. Like very rarely people who I work with are like doing the daily social media thing. And it was fresh content every day, you know, and she was doing that, but she never looked at her conversion rate. Not really. She knew it was kind of there, but she never really looked into it very much. She had plenty of traffic, but her pictures were so dark that people Hey boss, quick question. Are your listings actually bringing in sales, or are they just sitting there gathering digital dust? If you are tired of views without orders, join me for the Listathon week, the free follow along challenge where you'll finally create listings that actually sell. Over the 4 days, I'm going to show you how to identify your best sellers, optimize your listings so that they actually get found, double your listings in less time, and market your shop without spending hours and hours on social media. It all kicks off October the 6th inside of the Handmade Bosses group, and it's totally free. So you can sign up now by going to handmadebosses.com/listathon week. That's handmadebosses.com/listathon week. We'll also pop it in the show notes for you, because don't wait, your next sale could just be one listing away, and this free challenge could be the thing that finally turns your shop on hyperspeed mode. Didn't know or trust her enough to buy from her. So here's a quick win for you, okay? Is that this is a conversion problem. All right. So I need you to open your Etsy stats, and I need you to work out what your conversion rate is. Now it does tell you, but if you want to know, it's orders divided by visits times 100. And that's how you get your conversion rate expressed as a percentage. I'm not a numbers gal at all, but I feel like that conversion rate formula is like ingrained into my mind. So here's the thing though, if your conversion rate is below 2%, you have a conversion issue, which I would recommend going back. I'm just looking on my spreadsheet here. I would recommend going back and listening to episode 81, which should be the one before this, because I'm going to be going into a little bit more about how, like, what you can do to fix this. Okay. So I feel like that would definitely be something that I would suggest to do, because episode 81 and 82 they're just really good pairings. All right. If you are having traffic, but you're not getting sales, that is a conversion problem. And no amount of extra traffic or extra posting or tweaking is going to change that, because it's in the appeal of your actual listings, not anything to do with your branding, not anything to do with, all of this pretty stuff that is not really going to change things, which might be why, if you're in this kettle of fish, that what I meant? Yeah, probably. If you're in this category, I should have said, that's why it feels like you're running really, 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 really fast, but it's like you're on ice. You're not really going anywhere. All right. So sign number 2, shiny object syndrome. I'm laughing because this is me. Every summer, I don't know why it's every summer, but every summer I go through a shiny object moment. And inevitably I spend a week or two working on something that never sees the light of day, because I get to like September And I'm like, oh, okay, that was but you know what? I've kind of learned that that's how I get it out of my system. So I kind of allow myself a couple of weeks to play and be like creative for the sake of being creative. But yeah, shiny object syndrome. So if you're like, this week, I'm going to do TikTok. Next week, I'm going to do Pinterest because that's the key thing. And then you're like, no, I need an email list. No, I need to post a reel a day. No, I know what I need to do. I need to create more new products. And you're just like constantly like, boom, 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 boom. If you're jumping from thing to thing, that spreads your energy far too thin. And actually, you think you're being productive because you're like, I'm putting energy into this thing, which, you know, we're taught from a very young age that the harder you work, the more you get, which is not true, by the way. And I highly recommend for you to unlearn that, because I've had to, the past like 5 years, I've had to really unlearn that. And it's actually kept my business very, very small. This past year, I've kind of lifted the lid on that and things have exploded. So coincidence? I think not. But it spreads your energy far too thin. Because you're constantly like, okay, yeah, if I'm working harder on all these things, eventually one of them is going to stick. But what you're not seeing is that you're spreading yourself out, and all these things that you're working on, A, are not really going to do anything because you're probably working on the wrong thing if it's a shiny object. B, it's not going to go anywhere anyway because the amount of energy that you're putting into it and effort is so small because you're doing all these other things, you know? So the truth here is growth doesn't come from doing everything. It comes from repeating the right things. I'm going to say that again. Growth doesn't come from doing everything. It comes from repeating the right things. The fact of it is that if you have made any sales at all, you have evidence of what the right things are. You know what I mean? Even if you've made 2 sales, even if you've made 1 sale, even if you've made 100 sales, you have evidence of what people want from you, of what's going to grow your business, of what's going to do good things for you. All right. So here's an example of someone that I coach. Now, she sold knitwear and she doubled her orders, not by adding Pinterest, TikTok, or any of those other things, you know, but by focusing solely on optimizing her Etsy listings for 2 months out of the year. Like, which I know she sold a very like seasonal product, but let me tell you, from spring to summer, she was spinning her wheel. She was like, oh my God, I need to do this, and this. And instead we were like, okay, what if we could make up for the lost revenue that you have lost during like the warmer months? What if we could just double down on Q4 and go nuts? And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, you know, like, okay, let's say you need like 50K. And you're thinking you're going to get like 5K here, 6K there, 5K here. No. Why don't we just do the entire 50K in Q4? She was like, no, you can't do that. I was like, okay, try me. So we did. And it was crazy. And it was like this unlocked of like, oh my God, like I've given myself permission to be able to make my business go crazy and then go quiet. And that's fine, you know? So your quick win is I want you to choose one main thing. That can be one main traffic source. It can be one main product category. It can be one main product, full stop even. One main thing. Do that for the next 30 days. Like actually commit to it. Like, let's say you've been getting more traffic on Instagram, more followers on there. Maybe not a lot, but maybe, you know, the numbers don't lie. And maybe you're thinking Instagram seems to be it right now. Commit to it fully for 30 days. All right. Sign number 3 is missing foundations. All right. Plateau basically is, how I see it, cracks beginning to show in the foundation of your business. All right. So that can be things like an unclear target audience, weak pricing, inconsistent photos, not niche enough or too niche. It can be lots of different things. And these are all things that we really go into phase 2 in the HBSA, the Handmade Boss of Success Academy. signature course. It's a massive course. It's a complete A to Z of everything you need to take your business from zero, nothing, zilch, to consistent 5-6 figure years, months, whatever you want on Etsy, your own website, and with in-person events. So we're not just an Etsy thing over here, we're your own website, and we encourage you to do like wholesale and trade shows and craft fairs and all those kinds of things as well, if you want to. So that's where we really dig into that foundational stuff that a lot of people think, oh, I've been doing this for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I don't need to go back and redo those. But when you have a plateau, that's the cracks beginning to show. And that rhymes. I love it. What I want you to do is to, if you are kind of in this moment where you're thinking, yeah, that resonates with me, like I'm really feeling like there's some things that maybe I've lost along the way. Maybe my business grew to a point where I forgot to check my target audience. I forgot to adjust my niche. I just didn't do those things. This probably is you. An example here is I coached a lady who thought that she needed ads, and she was like adamant that she wanted me to teach her how to do Etsy ads, which I was fine with. But in reality, her prices were so damn low that she could not afford to scale her ads. She just straight up could not do it. You know, she was making sales, but she wasn't making any money. She wasn't making any profit, and profit is the lifeblood of any business. Once she repriced, which is a basic foundational thing, her plateau broke. The glass ceiling just shattered because she was finally making profits, and people trusted her enough to buy from her because her prices reflected what her product was. And I feel like a lot of people who might be listening to that right now and go, yeah, right. Like, if anything, I have to undercharge on freaking Etsy because there's like people snapping at my heels, like charging 60% less than I do. What I would say to you is that handmade product businesses, people on Etsy, anywhere handmade, were never designed to compete on price. Do you see like Rolls-Royce handmade cars? I'm not entirely sure if they're still handmade, but let's just roll with that example. Do you think they're worried about Kia making cars for like 30k when there's like 500k? No. They couldn't care less because they're in different leagues, you know? Do you think people who make handmade chocolates are like concerned about Cadbury selling a bar for £1? No. So why are you? It's a complete different league. Handmade products are never meant to compete on price. I promise you that. So if you are charging low prices, it could actually be hurting your business because people just don't straight up trust you enough because they see your prices being so low. It's kind of like seeing a brand new iPhone for like half the price that it is in the shop. Your immediate reaction is not, oh yeah, let's go and buy that. No, your immediate reaction is scam alert, avoid. And that could be what's going on with you if you're trying to undercharge. So a quick win for you guys is audit your foundations. Look at your pricing, your photos, your shop policies, your niche, your target audience, your branding, all of those things, your sales copy even. And that's all before we start talking about how to rank in SEO and all that kind of stuff. And if any of them feel shaky, fix them before adding more traffic. Because otherwise, if you start focusing on, I need more traffic, more, that's only going to increase because your foundations within your business aren't there. Okay? The big picture view that I want you to take is that plateaus do not mean that your business is failing. It doesn't. As an outsider looking in, I see it as like a little, like your business holding up its hand and saying, I need some medical attention before I go for like a 20-mile hike. I need like some anti-bac gel or like a plaster on my like blister, or I need to like sit down and have a drink first before I go on a 20-mile hike, you know? It's not like, that's it, I'm just going to give up. I'm just going to like lie here on the bench. Leave me alone. Just leave me here. You go on your 20-mile hike. You know what I mean? It's not that. It doesn't mean that your business is going to fail. It means that your business is giving you a signal that you need to do some like stuff before it can scale. And when you learn how to spot them, which I hope now in this video you've begun to spot the signs, you can break through faster without running yourself into the ground, without burning out, without, having all these like heightened emotions that make you feel like giving up. So your homework is, and this is an interesting one, and I would love to hear from you in like Instagram DMs, in the comments, wherever you are watching / listening to this. Let me know how you get on with this task. So I need you to write down the last 5 tasks that you did for your shop. And I want you honestly to mark each one as busy work or growth work. Now, side thing here is growth work should result in sales. Busy work kind of maybe might do eventually, but not really sure. And that's how you can tell. And then circle one of those 5 things that you've written down as a growth task that you are going to repeat every week. All right. So it's a bit of a interesting one because I feel as if it's definitely something that I think is going to highlight to you whether you're doing a lot of busy work or a lot of growth work. All right, I've yapped enough. Thank you so much for you guys joining me, listening, watching. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, on the podcast, wherever you are consuming this. And yeah, thank you so much. And I will see you this time next week for another episode of the How to Be a Handmade Boss show. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you love this episode, make sure you hit the follow button so you never miss the next one. And also, why not come and hang out with me on Instagram? It's at Handmade Bosses for daily tips, behind the scenes. And also don't forget, you can catch the video version of this podcast over on YouTube too. Until next time, keep going towards your handmade business goals, boss, because the world really does need those special creations that only you can make.